Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. Today we're diving into the absolute core insights of Dr. Alam Al-Hassan's definitive guide to modern corporate strategy and human resources. We are taking a really in-depth professional overview of her book, The Art of Business Administration, to figure out what actually makes an organization tick and, more importantly, what makes it absolutely thrive.
Before we jump in, setting the stage with our source material is absolutely crucial. Dr. Al-Hassan has essentially taken these massive encyclopedic management concepts and distilled them down into a highly practical blueprint. It's honestly a lifeline for saving toxic workplaces. She knows that the modern business world is way too complex to just slap on old, rigid templates. They simply don't work anymore. So if you're looking to build a resilient, forward-thinking organization, this is exactly where you need to start.
So here is our roadmap for today's masterclass. First, basics of business and HR. Second, human development and NLP. Third, the power of knowledge. Fourth, theories X, Y, and Z. And finally, number 5, strategies for corporate success. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Basics of Business and HR.
Okay, this breakdown is actually a brilliant way to think about how a company operates. You've got business administration on one side. They handle the money, the capital, the strategy, but then you have HR, which is literally the steering wheel of the company. It manages the human engine that drives the whole operation. Think of business administration as your map and your destination. It's setting the long-term goals and closing those big deals. But HR management, that's your navigation system and your engine maintenance rolled into one. You could literally have the best business strategy in the entire world, but if your HR steering wheel's broken, yeah, you're going to crash.
And because of that, HR is the true organizational backbone. Without it, a company pretty much immediately devolves into operational chaos. You start bleeding money. That's why things like structured hiring and continuous training aren't just nice to have, they're absolutely paramount. Listen, HR isn't just about filing paperwork and managing payroll, it's about strategically matching a candidate's actual real-world capabilities to the exact right role. It's about elevating their skills and making sure they have a safe, fair environment to actually do their job. When this system breaks down, what do? You get internal conflict, you get quiet quitting, totally wasted resources, and eventually, your brand's reputation takes a massive hit.
Moving right along, let's hit Section 2, Human Development and NLP.
So let's look at the difference here, because it's a game changer. Human development is basically adding a new tool to your toolbox. It's like sending someone to learn a new project management software, right? It's all about elevating practical day-to-day efficiency. But NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is an entirely different beast. Say you have an employee who has crippling imposter syndrome or this deeply ingrained fear of failure that's holding them back. You can give them all the software training in the world and it won't help. That's where an NLP expert steps in. They help rewire those negative cognitive patterns, literally unblocking the employee psychologically so they can actually reach their full potential.
Building on that psychological aspect, modern administration absolutely requires hiring based on deep organizational analysis. You can't just match a degree to a job description anymore. Dr. Al-Hassan makes this super clear. Relying purely on a university degree is a massive mistake. You've got to ask the tough questions. Is this person's mental resilience actually fit for the unique pressures of this role? Do their stress responses align with what this job is going to throw at them every single day? Answering that isn't something a standard recruiter can always do, which is why bringing in industrial and organizational psychologists during the hiring process is so incredibly valuable. All right, let's dive into Section 3, the power of knowledge.
Imagine a company that actively documents every single past failure, instead of just quietly sweeping them under the rug out of embarrassment. Well, that's knowledge management in a nutshell. And let me tell you, it provides an immense return on investment. It completely safeguards a company from repeating mistakes that lead to defective products and wasted capital. Think about it. You prevent catastrophic product recalls because previous design flaws were actually logged and avoided. You aren't constantly reinventing the wheel every Monday morning. Plus, it lets a company really pinpoint exactly what the market wants and when. All of this creates this incredible bedrock of stability. And guess what? That doesn't just keep your team happy, it acts as an absolute magnet for investors.
Which brings us to Section 4, Theories X, Y, and Z. Seriously, think about your own workplace for just a second. Are you treated like a partner with real potential? Or are you treated like a liability that needs constant surveillance and strict rules? Honestly, your answer to that question tells you exactly what management theory your company operates under.
This breakdown perfectly maps out the evolution of how bosses view their teams. We started with a pretty toxic Theory X. This is the authoritarian boss who just assumes everyone is inherently lazy, constantly avoids work, and has to be strictly micromanaged. The result? Total resentment. Talent gets completely suppressed. Then we evolve to Theory Y, which shifts the paradigm entirely. It assumes people actually want to work, that they're ambitious. This leads to mutual respect and proactive problem solving. But Theory Z? That takes it all the way to the finish line. Popularized by William Ochi, this Japanese model treats employees as deeply valued, integral, long-term partners. It's highly inclusive, humanistic, and team-oriented. Everyone is totally invested in the company's success, mostly because the company is continuously invested in them.
Finally, let's bring it all home with Section 5, Strategies for Corporate Success.
To build that incredible Theory Z culture, Dr. Al-Hassan lays out this exact step-by-step playbook called To Queen, which essentially translates to formation or preparation. It's how you take a raw recruit and transform them into a highly efficient professional. It kicks off with academic preparation, sure, but it immediately pivots to making sure they are psychologically ready for the role. Then you elevate their specific talents. Now look closely at step 4, safely increasing efficiency. This is vital. If you push human capacity beyond its physical or mental limits, you cause burnout. And burnout instantly destroys all the time, energy, and capital you just invested into that person. Finally, this formation, it isn't a one-and-done event. It's a continuous, ongoing process of development.
Because let's face it, problems will arise, they always do. When they do, the ultimate key to survival is institutional agility. In a toxic Theory X workplace, people hoard their knowledge because they're terrified of losing their jobs. But in a highly developed Theory Z environment, egos get dropped. Open communication just flows naturally. Teams actually pool their knowledge together, which allows the whole organization to pivot quickly and solve those complex problems long before they escalate into disasters.
So the blueprint for a thriving, collaborative Theory Z workplace is literally right in front of us. The only question left is, will your organization actually evolve and master its human engine, or is it going to be left behind, stuck in the toxic cycles of the past? Look, whether you're an employee just trying to navigate your own workplace dynamics, or you're a leader tasked with steering the entire company, Dr. Al-Hassan's framework makes one thing incredibly clear. True corporate success isn't just about managing capital and closing deals. It's about mastering the art of managing people. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.